Hello, 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 hello. It's time for the next one. That was a weird accent. I'm gonna have to remember all of the voices that I gave everyone because for you it hasn't been so very long, but for me it has been a couple days. As is evident by the fact that my room now looks cleaner behind me. That's just how this works. Alrighty. Hi again, Munchie. Glad to see you didn't run away from us. Nah, don't worry. This might be a little strange for me, but I at least keep my word. Well, I'm back at the literature club. I was the last to come in, so everyone else is already hanging out. Thanks for keeping your promise, Munchie. I hope this isn't too overwhelming of a commitment for you. Making you dive headfirst into literature when you're not accustomed to it. Oh, come on! Like he deserves any slack. You already had to be dragged here by Monica. I don't know if you plan to just come here and hang out or what. But if you don't take us seriously, then you won't see the end of it. Natsuki certainly has a big mouth for someone who keeps her manga collection in the classroom. And Natsuki finds herself stuck between saying Monica and manga. Manga is literature! Swiftly defeated, Monica just Monica. Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into the seat. I'm so sorry, Munchie. We'll make sure to put your comfort first, okay? Yuri shoots Natsuki with a disappointed glance. Disapproved, disappointed. Close enough. Anyway, now that you're in the club and all, perhaps you might have interest in picking up a book to read. Well, can't really say no either way. Like you said, I'm in the club now, so it only feels right for me to do something like that if you ask. Wait. I didn't mean it like that. If you don't really want to, then forget I said anything, I guess. No, it's not that, Yuri. I want to try and be a part of this club, so even if I don't read often, I'd be happy to pick up a book if you wanted me to. Are you sure? I just feel like, well, as vice president and all, that I should help you get started on something you might like. Yuri reaches into her bag and pulls out a book. I didn't want you to feel left out, so I picked out a book that I thought you might enjoy. It's a short read, so it should keep your attention, even if you don't usually read. And we could, discuss it if you wanted. How is this girl accidentally being so cute? She even picked out a book she thinks I'll like despite me not reading much. Yuri, thank you. I'll definitely read this. I enthusiastically take the book. Phew. Well, you can read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think. Now that everyone is settled in, I expect Monica to kick off some scheduled activities for the club, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, it is recorded. Sometimes it likes to be a bit. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice her intense expression, like she was waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around in the closet. I'm really curious to talk to Yuri a little bit more, but at the same time, I would feel bad for distracting her from reading. I catch a glimpse of the cover of her book. It looks like the same book that she lent to me. Also, it should be noted that the one that you end up paying attention to more is determined by your choices in the poetry rating segment. So last time, because we were specifically picking for Natsuki, we were paying attention to Natsuki in the closet. This time, because we are paying attention to Yuri, we are now paying attention to Yuri. I have the hiccups and I hate it. More than that, she seems to be on the first few pages. Crap. I think she noticed me looking at her. She sneaks another glance at me and our eyes meet for a split second. That only makes her hide her face deeper in the book. Sorry. I was just spacing out. I mothered this, sensing that I made her uncomfortable. Oh. It's fine. If I was focused, then I probably wouldn't have noticed in the first place, but I'm just rereading a bit of this, so... That's the book you gave me, right? Oh, your eye came off. Your eye is coming off. I wanted to reread some of it. Not for any particular reason. Just curious how you came up with 2 copies of the same book. Well, when I stopped at the bookstore yesterday... that's not what I meant. I mean, I just happened to buy 2 of them. I see. Something fairly obvious here that Yuri isn't telling me, but I decide to let it go. I'll definitely start reading it soon. I'm glad to hear. Once it starts to pick up, you might have a hard time putting it down. It's a very engaging and relatable story. Is that so? What's the story about, anyway? Well... I look at the cover of the book. The book is titled Portrait of Markov. There's an ominous-looking eye symbol on the front cover. Basically, it's about this religious camp that was turned into a human experiment prison. And the people trapped there have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. But the facility gets even worse and they start selectively breeding people by cutting off their limbs and affixing them to... Oh, that might be a little bit of a spoiler. But anyway, I am really into it. The book, I mean. Not the thing about the limbs. It's kind of dark, isn't it? Yuri made it sound like it was going to be a nice story, so that dark turn came out of nowhere. Are you not a fan of that sort of thing, Munchie? No, it's not that. I mean, I can definitely enjoy those kinds of stories, so don't worry. I hope so. Yeah, I totally forgot that Yuri was into those things. She's so shy and reclusive on the outside, but her mind seems to be going in a completely different direction. It's just that this kind of story, it's the kind that challenges you to look at life from a different and strange new perspective. When horrible things happen, not just because someone wants to be evil, but because the world is full of horrible people and we're all worthless anyway. And suddenly... I'm rambling, aren't I? But again, I'm sorry. Hey, don't apologize. I haven't lost interest or anything. Well, I guess it's alright then, but I feel like I shouldn't let you know that I have this problem. When I let things like books and writing fill my thought, my whole body gets incredibly aroused. I kind of forget to pay attention to other people. So I'm sorry if I end up saying something strange. And please stop me if I start talking too much. I really don't think you need to worry. It just means you're passionate about reading. The least I can do is listen. It's a literature club after all. That's true. In fact, might as well get started reading it, right? Yes! I mean, you don't have to, but... what are you saying? Let me just get the book. I quickly retrieved the book that I had put into my bag. Alright. It's fine if I sit here, right? I slip into the seat next to Yuri's. Yeah! Are you sure? You seem a little apprehensive. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't want you to, it's just that something that I'm not very used to. Is reading in company with someone. I see. Well, just tell me if I end up distracting you or anything. Oh, alright. I open the book and I start the prologue. I soon understand what Yuri means about reading in company. It's as if I can feel her presence over my shoulder as I read. It's not a particularly bad thing, maybe a little distracting, but the feeling is somewhat comforting. Yuri is in the corner of my eye. I realize that she's not actually looking at her own book. I glance over. It looks like she's reading from my book instead. Sorry. I was just bathing in the feeling of you. Yeah, I thought so. Yuri, you really apologize a lot, don't you? I do? I don't really mean to. Sorry. I mean... Here, this should work, right? I slide my desk until it's up against Yuri's, then hold my book more between the two of them. I suppose so. Yuri timidly closes her own copy. Once we each lean in a bit, our shoulders are almost touching. Feels like my left arm is in the way, so instead I use my right hand to hold the book open. Guess that makes it kind of difficult to turn the page. Here. Yuri takes her left arm and holds the left side of the book between her thumb and forefinger. I do the same with my right arm on the right side of the book. That way I turn the page and Yuri slides it under her thumb after it flips to her side. But in holding it like this, we're huddled even closer together than before. It's actually kind of distracting me. It's as if I can feel the warmth of Yuri's face and she's in the corner of my vision. Are you ready? To turn the page. Sorry. I think I got a bit distracted for a second. I glance over at Yuri's face again and our eyes meet. I don't know how I'll be able to keep up with her. That's okay. You're not as used to reading, right? I don't mind being patient if it takes you a bit longer. It's probably the least I can do, since you've been so patient with me. Yeah, thanks. We continue reading. Yuri no longer asks if I'm ready to turn the page. Instead, I just assume that she's finished the page before me, so I turn by my own volition. We continue the first chapter in silence. Even so, turning each page almost feels like an intimate exchange. My thumb gently letting go of the pages, letting it flutter over to her side as she catches them under her own thumb. Hey, Yuri. This might be a silly thought, but the main character kind of reminds me of you a little bit. No, I don't relate to this character at all. It's definitely not. Really? I was just thinking the way she second guesses things that she says and all that. That's what you were talking about. Sorry. I thought you meant something else about her. Something else? Never mind. We didn't even get that far yet. So I don't know why I would have come to that into my head. Yuri, are you feeling alright? Yuri's been a little fidgety ever since we started reading. You can rest if you're feeling sick or something. Your breathing is a little... My breathing? Yuri puts her hand on her chest as if to feel her own heartbeat. I didn't even notice. Anyway, I'm fine. I just need some water. Alright, and don't push yourself. Yuri stands up and practically rushes out of the classroom. What on earth was that about? Munchie. Did something happen just now? I have no idea. Yuri was acting a little strange, I guess. So, you don't know anything. Sorry, I can't say I do. Are you worried about her? Oh, no, not really. I was just making sure that you didn't do anything to her. No, nothing. Don't worry, I believe you, silly. Yuri just does this sometimes, so it's nothing alarming. You're right, if you say so. Anyway, why don't we start with sharing our poems with each other? Eh? Shouldn't we wait for Yuri? Well, she might be a while, so I figured we'd get started without her. Is that okay? Yeah, I was just asking. I stand up. I make a mental note of where I left off in the book, and I slip it into my bag. I told Natsuki I was interested in her poems yesterday. It's probably only fair I share her with mine. I shared mine with her first. This time I highlighted them in purple, as one is wont to do. I sit in the graveyard, staring up at the vivid starscape, vertigo. I have visions of entropy staring up at the night, my imagination continuing, uncontrollable. Lecherous horrors covet my mortal mind, infinite disarray. Sitting in summer, unending melancholy, foreshadowing disaster trying to continue on. The sunset paints crimsons across a heaven-sent wonder to try and ease my anxiety. An unrestrained pain resting in my chest. I try to enjoy the time, but the watercolored sky is too full of contamination. It's probably only fair if I shared mine with her first. Munchie, if you're not gonna take this club seriously, then go home. What? Harsh? What, you expected me to believe that you actually put effort into this? You think I'm stupid? I'm not a writer. Maybe it's not very good, but yeah, I did put in effort. We all start somewhere, right? If you're still proud of the first poem you ever wrote, then I'd like to read it. Painful to think about? Fine. Well, sorry. You'll get better anyway. I tell you what to improve, but you're better off just trying again. Fair enough. Well, to each their own, I guess. Anyways, I guess I gotta share mine now. Knowing you, you'll probably think it's stupid. We already read this. Yeah. I told you that you weren't gonna like it. I like it. What? Just be honest. I am. Why are you so convinced that I wouldn't like it? Well, because everyone in high school thinks that writing has to be all sophisticated and stuff, so people don't even take my writing seriously. But isn't the point of poems for people to express themselves? Your writing style wouldn't make your message any less valid. Yes, exactly. I like when it's easy to read, but it hits you hard. Like in this poem, seeing everyone else around you doing great things can be really disheartening. So I decided to write about it. Yeah, I understand. But the other nice thing about simple writing is that it puts more weight in the wordplay. Like I set up for a rhyme at the end, but then made it fall flat on purpose. It really helps bring out the feelings in the last line. So you did. I guess more went into this than I realized. That's what it means to be a pro. I'm glad you learned something. Didn't expect that from the youngest one here, did you? Yeah, I guess not. I decided to humor her with the last comment. I don't really care how old everyone is, but if Natsuki is feeling proud, then I won't take that away from her. Hi, Munchie. Having a good time so far? Yeah. Good, glad to hear it. By the way, since you're new and everything, if you ever have any suggestions for the club, like new activities or things we can do better, I'm always listening. Don't be afraid to bring things up, okay? Alright, I'll keep that in mind. course I'll be afraid to bring things up. I'm much better off just going with the flow until I'm settled in. Anyway, want to share your poem with me? It's kind of embarrassing, but I guess I have to. Don't worry, Munchie. We're all a little embarrassed today, you know. But it's that sort of barrier we'll be learning to get past soon. Yeah, that's true. I hand Monica my poem. Great job, Munchie. I was going, oh, in my head while reading it. It's really metaphorical. Not sure why, but I didn't expect you to go for something so deep. I guess I underestimated you. It's easier for me to keep everyone's expectations low. That way it always counts when I put in some effort. That's not very fair. Well, I guess it worked anyway. You know that Yuri likes this kind of writing, right? Writing that's full of imagery and symbolism. Sometimes I feel like Yuri's mind is just totally detached from reality. I don't mean that it's a bad thing, though, but sometimes I get the impression that she's just totally given up on people. She spends so much time in her own head that it's probably a much more interesting place to her. But that's why she gets so happy when you treat her with a lot of kindness. I don't really think she's used to being indulged like that. She must be really starved for social interaction, so don't blame her for coming on a little too strongly. Like earlier. I think if she gets too stimulated, she ends up withdrawing and looking for alone time. Suddenly, the door opens. Yuri! I'm back. Did I miss anything? Not really. Well, we've all started sharing our poems with each other. Huh? Already? I'm sorry for being late. No need to apologize. We still have plenty of time, so I'm more than glad that you took all the time that you needed. All right. Thanks, Monica. Suppose I should go get my poem now. Anyways, do you want to read my poem now? Don't worry, I'm not very good. You sound pretty confident for someone who claims to not be very good. Well, that's because I have to sound confident, silly. It doesn't mean I always have to feel that way, you know? I see. Well, let's read it then. We've already read this too. Oh, hey, it changed slightly. I forgot about that. Hole in a wall. Oh, this is part 2, that's right. But he wasn't looking at me. Confused, I frantically glance at my surroundings. But my burned eyes can no longer see color. Are there others in this room? Are they talking? Or are they simply poems on flat sheets of paper? The sound of frantic scrawling, playing tricks on my ears. The room begins to crinkle, closing in on me. The air I breathe dissipates before it reaches my lungs. I panic. There must be a way out. It's right there. He's right there. Swallowing my fears, I brandish my pen. So, what do you think? What do you think? Someone will get that reference. It's very freeform, if that's what you call it. Sorry, I am gathering my notebook, for I shall need it soon. Sorry, I'm not really the right person to be asking for feedback. It's okay. Yeah, that's the kind of style that it's gotten really popular nowadays. That is, a lot of poems have been putting emphasis on the timing between the words and the lines. When performed out loud, it can be really powerful. What was the inspiration behind this one? Well, I'm not sure if I know how to put it. I guess you could say that I've had some kind of epiphany recently. It's been influencing my poems a bit. An epiphany? Yeah, something like that. Kind of nervous to talk about deep stuff like that because it's kind of coming on strongly. Maybe after everyone's better friends with each other. Anyway, here's Monica's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when you're writing a poem or a story, your brain gets too fixated on a specific point. I hit my glasses and I hated it. If you try too hard to make it perfect, then you'll never make any progress. Just force yourself to get something down on the paper and tidy it up later. Another way to think about it is this. If you keep your pen in the same spot for too long, you'll just get a big dark puddle of ink. So just move your hand and go with the flow. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening! As Yuri reads the poem, I notice her eyes lighten. Exceptional. Eh? What was that? Huh? Did I say that out loud? Yuri first covers her mouth, but then ends up covering her whole face. He's going to hate me. You really didn't do anything wrong, Yuri. I guess you're right. What am I getting so nervous for? Yuri takes a breath. So, what kind of writing experience do you have? Your use of imagery and metaphors indicates that you've written a lot of poetry before. Thanks, Yuri! Really? Wow, that's a huge compliment coming for you. This is actually my first time, really. Huh? Yuri stares at me blankly and then looks at my poem again. Well, I knew that. I just meant, Yuri trails off, unable to find an excuse. She traces her fingers along the words in the poems as if breaking it down more thoroughly. Yeah, okay. This is the reason I was able to tell. It's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers. And having been through that myself, I kind of learned to pick up on them. I think the most noticeable thing I recognize in new writers is that they try to make their style very deliberate, and in other words, they tend to pick a writing style separate from the topic matter, and then they form-fit the two together. The end result is that both the style and the expressiveness are weakened. Once Yuri finds her train of thought, it's as if her demeanor totally changes. Her stammering is completely gone and she sounds like an expert. Of course, that's not something you can be blamed for. There are many different skills and techniques that go into writing even a simple poem. Not just finding them and building them, but getting them to work together is probably the most challenging part. It might take you some time, but it all comes with practice and learning by example and trying new things. I also hope that everyone else in the club gives you valuable feedback. Natsuki can be a little biased, though. Biased? How? Never mind. I shouldn't be talking about people like that. Sorry. It's fine. I'm not sure if Yuri is apologizing to herself, to me, or to Natsuki. Do you mind if I read your poem now? And please do! I'd love to share my thought process behind it. Yuri smiles dreamily as if that's a rare opportunity for her, which in itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? This one is one we've read before. I'm sorry I have such terrible handwriting. What? I wasn't thinking that at all, but it took you a long time to read. Well, I just don't read script very often. I actually think your handwriting is very pretty. Huh? That's a relief. Also, I liked the poem. Even though it's short, it was really descriptive. It wasn't too short. I usually write longer poems. Same, Yuri. Same. It's actually been incredibly difficult to keep my poetry shorter for this video. Not at all. I'm really glad you like it. I'll be honest. Since it's our first time sharing, I wanted to write something a little more mild. Something easy to digest, I suppose. Are you into ghosts, Yuri? Actually, the story isn't about a ghost at all, Munchie. Really? Must have totally missed the point. Well, I suppose you only did glance over it after all. But remember that poets often express their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences in their work. They usually do more than tell a simple story or paint a picture. In this case, perhaps the subject of the poem is only being symbolically compared to a ghost. lingering in her last remaining place of comfort, unable to go off the past. Let go of the past. I don't care if I'm reading this incorrectly. We've read it all before. And soon to be left with nothing. It's a lot more solemn putting it that way. I hadn't even thought of that. That's impressive. No, it's nothing really. Yours was impressive too, so... Nah. If anything, I could probably learn a thing or two from you. You think so? Yeah, of course. You know, I was really nervous about doing all of this, but in the end, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to keep doing my best for you, Munchie. Me too. Phew. I guess that's everyone. I glance around the room. That was a little more stressful than I anticipated. It's as if everyone is judging me for my mediocre writing abilities. Even if they're just being nice, there's no way my poems can stand up to theirs. This is a literature club, after all. I sigh. I guess that's what I ended up getting myself into. Across the room, Monica is writing something in her notebook. My eyes land on Yuri and Natsuki. They gingerly exchange the sheets of paper, staring at their respective poems. As they read in tandem, their expressions changes. Natsuki's furrows, Yuri in frustration. Did you say something? It's nothing. Dismissively returns the desk. I guess you could say it's fancy. Thanks. Yours is cute. Cute. Missed the point. Giving up. How can it be cute? I know that. I just meant language, I guess. Trying to say something nice. If you have to try that hard to come up with something nice, I don't need your nice at all. It was a couple of suggestions. If I was looking for suggestions, I would have gone to Addison thing. Monica liked it and Munchie did too, so based on that, I'll give you some suggestions. I appreciate the offer. I've spent a long time establishing my style. Munchie liked my poem too. You said he was impressed by it. Didn't realize you weren't invested in our new member. It's not what Yuri stands up as well. You're just jealous that Munchie appreciates me more than you. My advice more, I know. If I was full of myself, I would deliberately go out of my way to make everything cutesy. Well, you know what? I wasn't the one whose boobs magically grew a size as soon as we got a new member. Natsuki, this doesn't involve you. Taking your own securities out on others like that. You really act as long as you look. Me, look who's talking, you want to be edgy bitch. This is new. Taking your own insecurities out on others like that, you really act as young as you look, Look, Natsuki. Me? Look who's talking, you want to be edgy bitch. Edgy? Sorry that my lifestyle is too much for someone of your mental age to comprehend. See? Just saying that proves my point. Most people learn to get over themselves after they graduate middle school, you know. If you want to prove anything, then stop harassing others with your sickening attitude. You think you can counterbalance your toxic personality just by dressing and acting cute? The only cute thing about you is how hard you try. Whoa, be careful or you might cut yourself on that edge, Yuri. Oh, my bad, you already do, don't you? Did you just accuse me of cutting myself? What the fuck is wrong with your head? Yeah, go on. Let Munchie hear everything you really think. I'm sure he'll be head over heels for you after this. Suddenly, Yuri turns towards me as if she just noticed I was standing here. Munchie, she's just trying to make me look bad. That's not true. She started it. How did I get dragged into this? Whoever I agree with, so do the thing. Hey, Munchie. Why don't we step outside for a bit? Okay? Sorry about that. They really shouldn't have tried getting you involved. It's probably better for us to just stay out of this. We'll go back inside once they're done yelling. Some president I am, right? Can't even confront my own club members properly. I just wish I was able to be a little more assertive sometimes. But I never have it in me to put my foot down against others. You understand, right? Anyway, if this makes you want to spend less time with the others, then that's fine. I'd be happy to spend time with you instead. Suddenly, Natsuki runs out of the classroom. She quickly runs away. Oh dear. Well, it looks like they're done. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Yuri is rocking back and forth in her desk with her palms on her forehead. Yuri? I didn't mean it. I believe you. I have no idea what Yuri might have said to Natsuki or did. Munchie, please don't hate me. Please. I'm not like this usually. There's something wrong with me today. It's fine, Yuri. We know you didn't mean it. Besides, I'm sure Natsuki will forget all about it by tomorrow. Completely. Huh? Anyways, the meeting is over, so you can go home now if you want. Yuri looks at me like she wants to say something, but she keeps glancing at Monica. You can go first, Monica. I'd like to stay a bit longer. I'm the president, so I should be the last one out. I'll wait for you to be done. Well, I'm vice president, so please let me take that responsibility today. Kind of sounds like you don't want me around for something, Yuri. It's not that. It's not that. I didn't get much of a chance to discuss my book with Munchie. It would just be embarrassing with you listening. I guess I don't really have a choice, do I? I'm sorry for causing so much trouble, but I really appreciate you understanding it. Hopeless. Unending. I used that one last time, but it's a really good one to use. Disoriented. Promise? Promise. Oh, that was her. Oh well. After image. Existence. Frightening. Despise. Captive. Tragedy. Pen. Workpiece. Massacre. I like empty, actually. Memories. Ambient. Agonizing. Fantasy. Depression. Raindrops. So I'm going to say raindrops, but I kind of want to click this one. Yep, that's what I thought. Alright. And we're going to go with portrait. And that will do for today's video. Toodaloo!